Madden 2002, the only Madden with expansion because the Houston Texans came into the league then. Today we go back and we make our own expansion team. Meet the Birmingham Rebels, and we shall try to have a much better history than the Houston Texans. Can we do it? Tell me if you like the jerseys in the comments section below. I think they're hot. We're going to get Alex O'Neal, his first ever coaching gig on the channel, and we're just going to take over the Dallas Cowboys because we have to sim a year to get to the expansion anyways. Those Cowboys go 6-10, and the Seahawks beat the name redacted in the Super Bowl. Now it's time for Alex O'Neal to jump ship to what will be the greatest team of all time. What the heck? These are the best players that we can get at expansion? We're in trouble. At least in Madden 2002, you can look at draft classes ahead of time and see some full ratings. That should make planning a little bit easier. In order to put the best product we could on the field year number one, we had to sign a ton of free agents to start for us. Our draft looks hot, getting a 99 speed corner and an 82 overall middle linebacker. Should be a good start to our existence. This is our starting depth chart, and though it seems we put a nice makeshift team together, we're gonna have to see just how they gel in season number one. And the answer is not great, as we go 4-12 in our first season in existence, which is the same record that the Houston Texans had. So we're all tied up after 1 year. Oh, and Alex O'Neal was fired? So Daniel Jaramillo will be taking over, hoping for some more success. The name redacted loses their second Super Bowl in a row this time to an amazing Ravens team. Sean King threw for 20 touchdowns and 17 interceptions, while Kevin Dyson went for over 1,000 yards, and Jamie Duncan and rookie Jason Lewis combined for 25 sacks. That's awesome. 99 speed rookie corner Mansfield had 7 picks en route to making a Pro Bowl. We didn't even do that good, and we had a holdout. I love it. I kind of miss holdouts. Big free agent acquisition in Jason Taylor, among some other free agents. Atlanta makes a wild first overall pick, allowing us to nab an 85 tackle and an 84 D tackle. The rest of our draft was pretty great also. So we go into season number 2 with an improved team, and what does that bring to the table? Double the wins as we go to 8-8, which is 3 wins better than the 5-11 Texans did in their second year. And the Colts took on the Lions in the Super Bowl as the easy favorites, and they won 28-13. Our offense still was not good, as Sean King wasn't good at all. We can't get a running back over 1,000 and no wide receiver over 1,000 this year. The defense was nice, with Lewis getting 9 sacks, and the free agent list is even smaller this time, but we do bring in 3 guys. We got super lucky in the draft again, as the Steelers left us an 82 linebacker and an 80 tackle. This was a nice deep draft class, but I'm feeling a change in strategy coming up soon. Sean King is improving, but I still don't like him, and we need big help at running back and wideout. But the defense is coming together really nicely, and our corners are our weakest position. That offseason led to a really nice 11-5 year, which is 4 wins better than the 7-9 Texans did in year number 3. And Sean King was still bad, but we had a 1,000-yard rusher for the first time ever. Receiving was nicely spread out, and we had some really good sack numbers with Jason Taylor helping us out. We had Mansfield tearing it up on his way to a Pro Bowl again. Our first playoff opponent ever was a worse Bills team than us, and we did beat them 45-27. Then in the divisional, a really good Ravens team, and we had a big upset, the AFC title game versus the Broncos, and we lost 24-20. Great run though, and the Broncos would beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Still, a nice 2-1 record in our first playoff run, and the upcoming draft class was looking juicy. Free agent pickups, and yes, we bring in Tony Gonzalez as a 99 tight end. That's a big pickup for us. We also decide to unload Jason Taylor back to the Dolphins and get some great trade logic here, if you notice. We did this so that we could get his replacement, as we took 2 defensive ends in the top 4, along with a corner and a wideout. We didn't get the quarterback that we wanted in the draft, but we would later trade for him. Billy Joe Burt has to be the best name I've ever seen, and we needed him. He doesn't deserve to be on the football team, so goodbye, Sean King. Excited to see what this team can do, since they now have their quarterback of the future, their first 1,000-yard rusher returning, and wideouts are getting better, and the defense has no weak starters on it. And we get a 5-11 down year. Great. Well, that's still 3 wins better than the Texans did in 2005, and it keeps us 10 wins above them. Burt with a rough rookie season, 15 touchdowns, 10 picks, and Zimmerman with another 1K season, and Gonzalez leading us in receiving. Lewis had 11 sacks sacks. That man's a beast, as is Mansfield as he nabs 6 more picks. Broncos get back to the Super Bowl against the Bucks, and they get slammed this time. We grabbed some more solid depth pieces in free agency to try to right the ship, and the draft was mildly successful with some solid players at the top. We rolled into the next season with almost the same lineup of starters, just hoping for some of the development that we're looking for, and this team to get their chemistry going, and they did it. 12-4 season, and a year that beats the Texans 6-10 by a ton. Burt was a second coming of Sean King, though, and Zimmerman was a dog with over 1,000 yards again and 15 tutties. The ball was well spread amongst our wide receivers, and Lewis had a bit of a down year, as did Mansfield, but as a whole, the team was looking really good. In the divisional, the Colts were favored with the better team, but we smoked them 41-17. And then the Chargers in the AFC title, but we had the better team, and we squeaked a 10-9 win out to make it to the Super Bowl. Already further than the Texans have ever been, we would play an equally tough Saints team. The Rebels versus the Saints for the Super Bowl in Oakland, and Zimmerman was leading the way early with a long run up the left sidelines. And then Burt rolling right and throwing down the middle to Tony Gonzalez for the first touchdown of the ballgame. But Aaron Brooks and Joe Horn would hook up to make their way for Ricky Williams before he was traded to Miami to run in the tying touchdown. Later on, it's Brooks yeeting one out to Joe Horn with a one-handed grab, and he was gone for the touchdown. Joe Horn would get another huge hookup from Aaron Brooks that would set up Ricky Williams yet again for another tutty, but back comes Billy Joe Burt with a bomb of his own to Stone. Wide open for 6, cannot touch him. Saints played it safe on a 3rd and 11 and they got stuffed, so the Rebels would have a chance late, and Zimmerman leading the way with a big run up the right side this time for a first down. And then off of the play fake, buried is Burt into the ground on 3rd and 14. He just can't connect with his man, leaving a 4th down. Last chance for the Rebels, and Warwick would make the grab and just make it to the marker, first down. 15 seconds left to go in the game as Billy Joe Burt rolls out and finds Tony Gonzalez open in the end zone for the touchdown and the tie ball game. So that takes it to overtime, where Zimmerman juked a man out of his shoes to pick up a first down, and then Burt heaves one up in the air, but he just can't connect. So the Saints would get a chance, and Aaron Brooks is forced to throw one away on 3rd down. Back to Billy Joe Burt we go. And what a grab by Justice that would pick up a first down for the Rebels. Zimmerman gets the carry right side and picks up another first down. But time is a-ticking, and Billy Joe Burt goes downfield to the speedy Lions. What a grab in business. Next play, going for the jugular to Tony Gonzalez, and he does it. He makes the grab, and the Rebels are Super Bowl champions already. What an epic comeback victory. They've already won more Lombardis than the Texans, and we're only in season 5 out of 21. After that, Isaac Bruce wanted in on the action, and he signed with the team, among other free agents. We had a solid draft as well, but cap space was very limited, so a lot of players would be let go, and the team would look very different. Burt leading the way, Zimmerman was gone in favor of Jackson, Justice was traded away, and we still had a nice receiver core. Gonzalez, our Super Bowl MVP, was still around, and the defense was looking better than ever. Could we go for another Super Bowl win? Well, we went 8-8 just like the Texans did in year number 6, but we did sneak into the playoffs as they did not. And our amazing team took out the Broncos 40-30. That got us in the divisional round against Buffalo. We were able to sneak by them 24-21. But in our 3rd conference title game ever, we went up against the Colts, who beat us by 7, head back to the Super Bowl, and faced the Saints, who we had just beaten, but they could not, falling 52-24. Charles Woodson was forced to retire with a career-ending injury as a 99 overall. That's a tough scene. And we brought in 2 really good players in free agency, but it was a tiny draft class this year. There wasn't a lot of movement on our roster, as I wanted guys to just develop. Edwards was brought in to replace an aging Isaac Bruce, and Tony G was traded to bring in a really nice young tight end in Walker, who was also one of the fastest. The offensive line and defense needed virtually no tweaking though, and was one of, if not the best in the league. That led to a 9-7 season, which beat the Texans by 1 win, placing us 17 wins above them to this point if you're counting. It was the Broncos in the wildcard round, and though we were a better team than them, we lost 51-32, so much for our great defense. Super Bowl was a good one, the Rams versus the Colts, as the Colts lose their second Super Bowl in a row as AFC representatives. Chris McIntosh was the next career-ending injury victim. Rip to him. We brought in 2 99-speed skill position players, along with a new quarterback to push Burt. We didn't make too many moves, just brought in those draft picks for depth, hoping that we can do better than last time. And we did. 11-5, which beats the Texans year 8 by 2 wins. We took on the Bengals in the wild card round, and we snuck by them 35-31. The divisional round would be in San Diego, and that would result in a 17-14 squeaker. And then in the conference title, in Cleveland, we broke the hearts of Browns fans everywhere with a 34-31 win. All close games to get us the big one, and we were set to play a Giants team that was not in our league at all. But we would not do so at full strength, as our tackle Clark and our running back Jackson were both out for the season, among other injuries. Adelphia Coliseum in Nashville, Tennessee, Giants and Rebels battle for the Super Bowl championship. Billy Joe Burt early on finds Cross across the middle for a first down, and then later it's a drag to Cross, who just stays hot early in the game before Billy Joe Burt could find White all the way into the end zone for the lead 7-6 Rebels. Right before halftime, it's Burt looking for a deep completion with just a second to go, and White was wide open for the touchdown catch. Speed kills, and the Rebels had a 14-6 lead until Dixon is intercepted by Mansfield, and Burt would just give it to Johnson left side for an easy first down. After that, the pitch gets Johnson into the end zone easily as the backup running back put the Giants in trouble until Amani Toomer would take it on 3rd and 10 and find a way to the left side, breaking tackles, looking like he's going to score, but he fumbles the football. And the Rebels would eventually recover to prevent a touchdown. 4th and 2 later, and Dixon can't connect with Ron Dane, so the turnover doesn't stop Billy Joe Burt from running it up with his boy White for a 3rd touchdown connection. And then why not add one more TD later on to add insult to injury, as Billy Joe Burt goes for 4 touchdown passes, while Johnson would run for 152 as the backup, and the rookie 99-speed wideout Ted White goes for 3 touchdowns on his 3 catches. Who would be your MVP of this game? Let me know in the comments. Dominating 35-6 win over the Giants, as the Giants led the game 6-0 early. Burt had an incredible year with 35 TDs and only 9 picks, and Johnson ran for 1,200 yards and 10 scores. Edwards was a 1,000-yard receiver with double-digit touchdowns, and Cross added 13 TDs. Stevens had a 12-sack year. Mansfield had a 5-pick year. What a team this was. The rest of this video is essentially gravy. How dominant can this team really get? Of course, we would have holdouts after just winning the Super Bowl. Burt and Edwards wanted their money. It strapped our cap and made us take it easy in the draft, but we felt comfortable trying to run it back with most of this team just the way it was. Burt took a big step up. We wanted Jackson to play a full year, and the wideouts were really nice. The line is always great, and the defense was getting more and more dominant. They caused us to go 12-4 in year 9, which is 6 better than those bummy Texans. Skip to the divisional round with a bye against San Diego. We would beat them 31-12. Then, a rematch against the Browns in the conference title, as they would now get their revenge 38-33. You can't win them all, and the Browns didn't either, as they lost the Super Bowl to the Panthers 24-19. We were ready to retool the team with the top 8 selections in the draft, and there they are in all their glory. Watch out for that running back Lyons, I promise you he looks awesome. Hurt up to a 90 overall, Lyons will be insane. The wide receivers took a small step back, but we're working on it, and the line is still great, and the defense is even more amazing. Hell of a season at 11-4-1 in a year that the Texans went 10-6, so we're now 26 wins ahead of them. Miami didn't look to match up well with us, and they did not. 25-20 win for us. The Colts always give us trouble regardless, and they would do it again, winning 31 31-26. Then those jerks would lose to the Chargers in the AFC title, who would then become jerks, losing to the name redacted, with the better team by a landslide. Burt started coming down to earth with 29 touchdowns and 15 picks, not a great year. Johnson ran for 1K and 18 scores, so Lions must have been injured all year. Doesn't matter who our starter is, he's always hurt. More spreading it out to wide receivers, no dominant play there, and on defense, Stanley and Webster were whooping up with over 100 tackles apiece and really good sack numbers. In the draft, we drafted 2 guys, including our next potential quarterback. Burt had a heck of a backup now, and this team was really looking unbeatable. But for the first time ever, we won less games than the Texans did. Still a good year at 11-5, but the Texans went 12-4 in their 11th year. Not the Colts again. This time we beat them though, 34-16. Again, the Dolphins shouldn't be a match with us. Whoa! 42-13. Man, how do we get blown out like that? Of course, they would lose to Denver, who had a 90 overall team, and they would go 19-0, defeating the 49ers in the Super Bowl. Really good year for Burt, though, with 32 touchdowns, 7 picks. No 1K yard rusher or receiver, though. Even some of the defensive numbers were looking quite underwhelming. Rip Nick Winter, guys. Age 26, too. That's just sad. Tons of holdouts, like we won the Super Bowl or something. Newsflash, we didn't, guys. We did go wild in the draft, though, since we wanted to make changes after 3 straight playoff exits. Most of the starters were untouched on the depth chart, however, except that the 87 rookie linebacker Brandt would be our starter. A 15-1 season. Lone loss to the Raiders, and a year with 13 more wins than the Texans, who went a terrible 2-14. The Patriots weren't given much of a shot in the divisional round, and we smoked them like we should, 38-12. Then in the AFC title game against Denver, it was a lot closer, but we did win by a touchdown to go on to the Super Bowl, and we would take on a really good offense in the Minnesota Vikings. Super Bowl at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, as quarterback Billy Joe Burt led the Rebels out there against the Minnesota Vikings, and Dante Culpepper would give it to Green, who would run amok early on in the ball game, which ended up leading to a field goal attempt, which was good, but then a roughing the kicker call on middle linebacker Martin would give the Vikings a new set of downs, and Green ends up finishing the drive with the game's first touchdown. But look at this man, Lions. He is an absolute monster of a man, just running people over en route to first downs all day long. Then, who misses Tony Gonzalez? Well, don't miss him, because Walker is an outright beast as well. Lions right side breaking tackles out here, being a speedy Derrick Henry, and his backup, Johnson, would be the one to finish the drive off with a brilliant run for the tying touchdown. The Vikings would face a 3rd and 9, and Culpepper with an errant throw right to the safety Divine, who finds his way down the left side of the field, all the way back to the Casa for the lead. Culpepper and company on another 3rd down, and he had all kinds of time to find his man Randy Moss, who would take the football into scoring position, and it would be Green who would find his way to pay dirt for his 2nd touchdown of the day. Burt, with just 1:56 to go in the game, launches a ball downfield, and he connected with Cross for the lead one more time at 21-14. The Vikings were knocking on the door, faced with a 4th down, and they just could not connect. Culpepper was not clutch in this game. Billy Joe Burt ends the game with a single touchdown, and Lions would rack up 154 yards on 13 carries, while Johnson's 2 attempts would both go for touchdowns. It was a 28-14 win over the Vikings for the Rebels' 3rd Super Bowl win. Burt had 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions on the season. Lions had 17 touchdowns. Huge spray around in receiving, and on defense, Martin had a 10-sack year, even though he had a penalty, you bonehead. We got ourselves an 86 overall wideout in the draft, along with 4 other 80-plus overall players, including an 86 speed tight end. Burt and Lions were now beasts, new starting tight end, and we just had a couple of new starters on defense, mainly at the safety positions. That was good enough to take us to 13-3 on the season, and 4 wins better than the Texans at 9-7. For those counting, we're now 42 wins better than them. Divisional round, the Raiders had a solid team and got smoked by us 48-7. Dolphins rolled into Birmingham to be handed a 24-13 loss in the AFC title, and we would get this Packers team in the Super Bowl. A solid team. Adelphia Coliseum again for another Super Bowl. It's the Packers versus the Rebels. And early on, it's Burt to Kendall to pick up an easy 1st down, which would lead to its hoss the Lions, who would go absolute beast mode and get in for 6. Bird at quarterback finds his man Payne, who would end up breaking free down the right side to get all the way to pay dirt and tie the ball game. And then, something we've really not seen from Burt. Mistakes, as he would throw an interception. With 5 seconds to go in the half, he would make up for it, launching a ball downfield to Carrier, and he would not be caught. Gone like the days where Madden was fun. These old days. 92-yard bomb for the lead. Second half, Burt would be under pressure, and the defensive Bird would come away with it to give the way to Bird, pitching it to Bird for the Packers' tying score. Yeah, I'm not kidding. This team is full of birds. Lions is incredible, taking it left side for a fantastic run. So why not go to the well again for another lovely run, which would lead to a big third down as Billy Joe Burt couldn't connect in the end zone with Kendall. He was wide open, and the Rebels would settle for a leading field goal. Bird went to work, chucking one out to Payne, who somehow just breaks absolutely free down the right side, and he was gone again. The Packers led the game 21-17 at that point. Burt facing a fourth down with very little time left in the game, and he would be buried. And to make matters worse, he was injured. Packers added a field goal on the board, and the Rebels needed a touchdown. But a yeet from Edwards to White just didn't get to the end zone, even though it was caught, and the time would run out. Packers win the game 24-17 in the Rebels' first Super Bowl loss. Burt had the worst game we've ever watched him play, even with Lions and Carrier just balling out as weapons on his team. Meanwhile, the Pack had rookie quarterback Bird, who wasn't even a 60 overall, I don't believe. He went nuts. And then running back Bird had a touchdown. 33-year-old wideout Richie Payne just went off on our secondary. And on defense, they had Donovan Bird, who came through with an interception. Insane. Apparently, Burt got hurt in the regular season too, as he only had 26 touchdowns and 3 picks. But Edwards had 13 and 4, so not bad. Is he ready? Lions went off this season, as he should every year. He had 2 guys with 8 sacks, and Barry had 6 picks for us. Lions wanted that cash in the offseason, and as a 99 back, he really did deserve it. Retooling the offensive line through the draft and adding some depth, and Edwards would go into the year as the starter over Burt. So we're really going to find out if he's ready. This team's still really good, but the corners aren't what they used to be. They're young this year. It showed as we were easier to score on in a 9-7 season. Still ties the year that the Texans had. However, we missed the playoffs, which sucked. Bengals versus Cowboys would be the Super Bowl, and Cowboys fans can rejoice with a 32-14 Super Bowl win. Edwards actually played really well with a 27-8 season, Lions with over 1K and 13 tutties, and Carrier had 10 touchdowns at wideout. The numbers were really low from our whole core. Sacks and picks were down for the team, and I figured the defense would take a slight hit. As you could tell from our draft picks, the draft was kind of doo-doo, but we did retool some things. Edwards was getting even better. We were dealing with a much younger D-line and linebacking core now, in addition to already dealing with young corners. The safeties were totally in great shape though. This led to another 9-7 season, which again matches the Texans. For those wondering, we're still 42 wins up on them to this point, our 16th season. Playoff trip this time as we took on the Patriots and we smoked them by 2 scores. But it's the pesky Dolphins again, and they took us out 28-9. Dang it, I love the Dolphins, but sheesh. The Chiefs took them out, and they should beat Seattle, but they don't. Edwards has an okay year with nearly 4K yards, but with 16 picks at the age of 28, he's scaring me. Lions over 1K with 14 TDs, and then Martin with 11 sacks before going out for the season. Wow. Nardenholt with a 6-pick year. Good for him. Poor Shelton Fields is the next career-ending injury. RIP. Okay, time for another stacked draft class. Griffith and Teague are going to be terrific, as is Harrison. Glover will be a great complement to Lions for a bit. I love this. Edwards is ready as he has tons of weapons now, and maybe the best O-line ever. Defense is starting to climb again as we have stars all over the field, and a roster like that would pay off for us with a 12-4 season. That blows the 4-12 Texans year 16 out of the water, and it gets us into the divisional against the dang Dolphins. But this time we would shut them out 35-zip. Let's go. We're better than the Raiders, but they're having a great year, and they would ride it to a conference title win at 30-20. That led to a Bay Area Bowl, as the Raiders would take advantage, and they actually win it 27-10. AFC getting strong. 33 tutties, 11 picks for Edwards, 1K yards, 17 touchdowns for Lions. Riggs becomes our first 1K wide receiver in a really long time, and he had 9 scores. Carrier, another nice 10 touchdown year though, and on defense, Neal and Ulrich would both have great seasons. Another really nice draft class for us should keep the team rolling as the cap is going up. Edwards is now a 98, wow, and he's still got lots of help, though we've had to make some moves on the O-line now. The defense is improving year by year, however, we have another really good season at 11-5, which ties the real-life Texans here. Again, skip to the divisional, and the Chargers got nothing on us, and it's proven to be true with a 32-20 win. Then we take on the Steelers in the AFC title, but we're better, and it doesn't matter to EA as we lose 29-24. The Steelers are far better than the Falcons, but it took overtime for them to beat them in the Super Bowl 20-17. At least the AFC is on a roll. We lost another conference title, our 5th loss in that round. Edwards with 27 touchdowns and 5 picks. Lyons was hurt this year and didn't get 1K yards. Carrier did at wideout though, nice season. And we had 2 guys with 9 sacks each, and Narden Holt would lead us again, this time with 4 picks. The new draft class was speedy for us with some rare athleticism from Sanders and Owens for guys at their position. Edwards, Lyons, Kendall, and the O-line were primed for a really good year. We just needed less injuries. This rebuild wasn't done with injuries off, as I didn't want it to be lame. We had to earn it drafting and developing. And we went 11-5 in this season, which is 1 win better than the Texans did, putting us 51 wins above them to this point. We faced the Colts in the wildcard round. We beat them 28-14. In the divisional, it's a good Chargers team, and they would take us out of the picture before folding to the Patriots so that we would get a 1985 rematch between the Pats and the Bears. Patriots win the Super Bowl 27-24. At least it took this long for it to happen, which would be the 2019 season. Edwards had an incredible year with 33 scores and 4 picks, and Glover was our leading rusher, so Lyons, you're hurt way too much, man. It was another spread it out year for receivers, and look at Brandt with 18 sacks. Wow. Some sad retirements started happening, with Rashard Terry retiring. He's been our kicker for 18 years of this rebuild. Our old tight end, Doug Walker, retired from the Vikings. Our center, Derek Triplett, retired at 39 with 903 pancakes, and our old left tackle, Isaac Clark, retired after 18 years with a ton of pancakes. Remember Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, our backup running back? He retired as well. Finally, there goes Billy Joe Burt, retiring after 15 years with 35K yards and 269 nice tutties. I love you, Billy Joe Burt. Really solid draft again with 2 corners at 98 speed. That should help the secondary quite a bit. Edwards, Lyons, Riggs, and Kendall are running out of time to get it done. The defense is really starting to look impenetrable, and we would go 14-2 with this team. That's much better than the real Texans at 4-12. And in the divisional round as the 1 seed, we get those pesky-ass Dolphins who are still really good, but we're so much better, and we got a 38-20 win. Dominant enough for me. Now we get another shot at the Steelers. This time we sneak by them at 20-13 to get to our first Super Bowl in 6 years. Ironically, at Pro Player Stadium in Miami, it's the Rebels and the Buccaneers for Super Bowl title. Second quarter before any threat occurs, as Edwards gave it to Lyons for an easy touchdown. Lyons was dominating early. 3rd and 3 later in the quarter, and there goes Lyons right side again with a huge run downfield before Glover comes in to spell him, and he gets it left side, nobody home, easy tutty. Buccaneers were forced to punt, and Black would have a really nice punt return before he would finally fumble the ball. That would lead to Wright finding a wide open Redmond in the back of the end zone for the Bucs TD. But Edwards went to work and he found Kendall deep in the red zone, making it easy for Lyons to do his thing and roll into the end zone to secure a 21-7 win for the Rebels and their 4th Super Bowl championship. Edwards didn't throw for much as this team was hard carried by Lyons and his 194-yard performance to win it as he takes home Super Bowl MVP. You saw in the game, Lyons had a 1,321-yard season with 23 touchdowns, so I guess he didn't get hurt. We added another corner and defensive tackle, but the rest of the draft was boring. We needed a kicker, and we went with a first-round kicker, Mr. Janikowski 2.0. There's only 2 seasons left to get to present day, so we're going to try to get this offense another ring if at all possible, and the defense looks relatively similar as well. We go 10-6, which isn't as dominant, but the Texans in their first 17-game season here went 4-13, so we beat them there. It's a date with the Browns in the wild card, and they've had the best of us before, so we can't take them lightly. This team really is near perfection, and we would win 27-6. Then it's the Raiders, who are far worse than they were a few years back, and we would beat them 25-10. Jaguars in the AFC title, that's a new one. We're better, and we prove it with a 27-17 win. Now we would get a Super Bowl rematch with the Green Bay Packers. They should have a much different team now. To Oakland we go, and the Rebels look for a Super Bowl number 5 against the Packers. Edwards dropping back and letting one loose to the tight end Kendall for an easy first down, and then nearing halftime he would throw one to the end zone for Robinson. Just chuck it up. Touchdown, baby. Then it's Edwards with a shot to Riggs for a long first down, and then he would just chuck one into triple coverage in the end zone. Kendall would come down with it. Man's out there somewhere. Edwards just on fire in the Super Bowl, but he's not done, taking more shots to Kendall with the connection, and Kendall broke free with his 86 speed. That tight end going all the way to the house. Small highlight later on for the Packers as Brian would get an 80-yard touchdown after breaking a tackle on the pass from Slater. Somehow, the Packers just seem to do that to us every single Super Bowl, but it doesn't matter as the Rebels win 34-10 quite easily, with Edwards going for 259 and 3 touchdowns. Glover ran for 162 with Lions injured, and Kendall caught for 159 and 2 scores. Who's your MVP there? On the season, Edwards had 39 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. Lions had 10 rushing scores, Riggs had 10 receiving scores, and on defense, check out Ron Springs with 17 sacks. Nice. In the final offseason, we get some sad news as Ernie Lyons would suddenly retire as a 99 still, with 99 speed still. The age of 34 after 11 seasons, just too many injuries for him, but a great career, 9,200 yards, 122 tutties. Our former right tackle, Jamie Irving, retires at 41 years old with 892 pancakes, and former right guard, Billy Bob Johnson, retires with 979 pancakes. Very thin draft for us this season, but we're kind of just running it back for the last season. Still, with Edwards, Glover is ready to take the starting job at running back, the offensive line is still really nice, and the defense is very amazing. Let's see what we can get out of this. 9-7. Alright, that's not bad considering this year's Texans team just went 3-13-1. Wildcard date with the Chiefs, and yeah, our team's still freaking amazing. Nearly all 99 ratings, and somehow we didn't win as many Super Bowls as the Pats. Anyway, a 30-9 easy win there. Now the Bills. They shouldn't be a match for us at all with a 78 quarterback, but they would beat us 17-13. Horrible way to go out, but the Bills are beat by the Raiders, who would face the Rams in the Super Bowl, and the Raiders would win another Super Bowl. Nice. Injury year for Edwards as he still makes the Pro Bowl with 19 touchdowns and 5 picks. I don't know how. Glover was good, not incredible. Same for Riggs at wide receiver. Nice year again for Ron Springs, and a quick look at some career numbers here at the end. Edwards with 30K yards and 259 touchdowns, getting pretty close to Burt there. Riggs over 7K at wideout, and it's hard to break records in these old games. It's not like the NFL of today. As for the point of this rebuild, the Houston Texans' history in real life to this point: 142 wins, 195 losses, 1 tie, 4-6 playoff record, 0 conference title appearances, 0 conference title wins, meaning 0 Super Bowl appearances, and 0 Super Bowl wins. Our Birmingham Rebels finished with 215 wins, 120 losses, 1 tie, a 31-12 playoff record, 11 conference title appearances, 6 conference title wins, meaning 5 Super Bowl wins and 1 Super Bowl loss. Incredible rebuild. If you like this retro, changing history type of rebuild thing, let me know in the comments. You got an idea? Let me know that as well. Want to see a full-on franchise mode in one of these old games? Let me know that as well. I'm open to all the suggestions. Now's your chance to make them. If you enjoyed and got any entertainment out of it, hit that like button, share the video to people. I love you all, and a quick shout out to the channel members keeping the dream alive. I love all of you, FG fam.